Hi, this is Marv from Pods Like Us, and I'm having a quick chat with Matt from the Life Shift podcast about the Christmas season and particularly what it means to him. Hi, Matt. Thanks for speaking with me.
Thanks for having me and talking about Christmas. I mean, who doesn't like Christmas?
Who doesn't like Christmas? I mean, even most of the famous Christmas songs were written by Jews, so they must like Christmas.
It's fun to decorate for, right?
Dear me, I can't believe I got that in there. I shouldn't have said that.
Redo it.
Happy Hanukkah. Thanks, Matt, for being here. So, you were explaining to me online, we were having a discussion, and you were explaining to me that there's something about Christmas to do with your grandmother, which just made me, you know, almost teary eyed. It was quite lovely, really.
Yeah, Christmas was always about my grandmother, interestingly. I mean, even as a kid, I remember how much my grandmother liked Christmas. And it kind of aligns a little bit with my podcast itself, The Life Shift, and how close, you know, I guess I should go back a little bit. My mom died when I was a kid. And so when my mom died, my grandmother kind of took over and she was my mom. And so I spent a lot of time with her. And so when we would have our Christmases together, we would have like a million presents under the tree. And most of them would have her name on them. And she would just get so excited about how many presents she would have because when she grew up, they didn't have any money to buy presents, and so she didn't really get anything. And her parents were busy working. Well, her mom died when she was a kid as well, but her dad was busy working and just didn't really care about Christmas. So when she grew up and she saw me, she was like, oh, it's time to celebrate Christmas. So we would just go crazy. Like, it's almost obscene how much we had under the tree. And so my favorite memories are, I was probably about 12, and my dad and I had moved down to Florida, and my grandmother moved down as well. And we would spend Christmas Eve together. And we had a tradition up to that point of every Christmas Eve, we would go out, we would have Italian food for dinner, and then we would come back and we would open one present, and then we would go to bed. And this one year, I don't know why, but we came back and we're like, okay, we're going to open one present. And then we opened another present. And then we opened another present. And by the time we knew it, we had opened everything the night before Christmas, laughing like crazy. And just to see the joy on her face, because she was the instigator. She was the one who wanted to open more presents. She would ask me if she could open my presents. So every time I think of Christmas, now that she's gone and I see all the presents under the tree, I'm always like, I just want to give her one more present, and so it's like a bittersweet memory of Christmas, but also it just thinking back to those moments, which I haven't really thought about until you brought it up, really makes me happy. And it's a nice memory to have, to see someone that was older. She was probably like in her 70s, 80s at the time, and she was just obsessed with opening presents, and it just brings me so much joy to think about.
That's lovely because it's almost like the younger version of her is back for that little bit of time
Mm-hmm.
where there's that excitement within her. It's like she's young again, and I can just imagine how excited she was.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me too because, I was, I guess, 12 or so, and I felt like the adult in the room, right? I felt like I was watching her, like you pointed out, having this childhood now, and
Yeah,
just seeing that joy that I guess people describe of seeing their kids run to the Christmas tree
yeah.
on Christmas morning to see all the presents. That's what I saw in her 70, 80-year-old eyes, like how much she lit up when we saw it. And so, I don't do a lot for Christmas now that she's gone, but when I think about it, it's just such a good memory to think back to those nights where we were like, what did we do? Why did we open everything? Now we have nothing to do on Christmas. We have no presents to open or anything. So it was a great memory.
But I think it shows perfectly one of the best things about Christmas, in my opinion, is that whole feeling that it gives to people, when they're just full of it's the joy of Christmas, it's the getting together with the family, and it's how you all feel together. I mean, that just shows. I think that's a perfect example of that.
Right. And I couldn't tell you any of my gifts, because
No.
the memories were what I remember. And so, as I grew up, you think, okay, so that, to your point, is what Christmas is all about. It's the memories that you're making, not the gift that you had to buy, the most perfect thing for so and so. It's the memories that you're creating, because those are the things that you're going to remember in the end.
Yeah, but I also know that one of my favourite things, which I'm guessing your grandmother would have had, would have been when I buy a present for somebody, like when I buy it for my other half, my girlfriend Louise, and I'll buy her a present, and then she opens it. When they've got that smile on their face, and you've bought them, it's like you've almost bought them exactly what they wanted, and it's actually the response that is the best thing about it.
Yep.
Not so much actually buying the person the present, it's the response when they open it, and there's like this wide-eyed like look on the face, and it's like
Yes.
whoa, like that. It's the whole reaction to it that makes you happier as the person that's given the present or is there in that moment.
100%. And funny enough, my grandmother wasn't very good at faking that, though. So
Yeah.
there were some moments in which we got her something that she just didn't like, and we knew right away. And that was even funnier, because I mean, at the moment it wasn't very funny, but looking back, like, how bad are we? I'm not very good at it either, like faking if I like, a present, but looking back on it, it's just, it adds another layer to the memories that are fond memories, right? But in the moment it was a little traumatic, but
Was it like almost an overreaction in a sense? Was she sort of like,
no, she
oh,
didn't even
oh, like
try.
this, or was it? Oh no.
No, it was actually, my father got her a gift certificate to some hair salon that she used to go to, and she opened, and it was a very generous gift certificate, and she opened it, and she was like, I don't go here anymore. And we were like, oh no. But she ended up using it, and it was fine. And now, even still, I mean, she's been gone 7 years now, and my dad and I will still bring that moment up, because it was just so funny, because like, you just don't expect it, but she had no filter when it came to things she did not like.
That's brilliant. It's like somebody buying you a CD by an artist, and you go, I don't like them.
Yeah, but at least you can return the CD.
That's true. That's
Do
true.
people still buy
You could sell
CDs?
the voucher, I suppose.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, this was I want to say this was in the 90s, and man, it was just it's still top of mind of memories that made us laugh on Christmas, along with the ones where we would just go crazy opening everything that night and just have a great time. Her benefit was like, well, now we can sleep in on Christmas morning. We don't have to get up early for you kids.
That's a really good point. That's a very good point. And if you've already got the food ready as well, even
Yeah,
more reason to stay in bed for longer.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
kids are
usually.
excited. Get up and put the television on.
Exactly. Take care of yourself, kids. We're going to sleep in.
It's better than when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, my mum used to say to me that it's not Christmas until, and she used to come up with a time, which was good for her, basically. She'd be like, because she did a lot of night shifts, she'd be like, oh, it's not Christmas until 8 o'clock in the morning. Until then, watch television, then I'll be down.
Yeah, I mean, smart. That's just a smart decision. You should set boundaries.
It's good parenting for you there.
Can't let the kids run the house. But I will say that it's fun to think of someone that didn't get to have a really good childhood at Christmas to be able to live that out later in her life, herself. And for me to be as lucky to witness that is super cool, and not just be the only one that's that excited. Because I think a lot of times it's the kids that are super excited about it, but to see someone that's older be just as excited about it was really a blessing for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing about. I mean, my grandparents were very. My grandfather in particular was really very like that, very giving, very fun loving, and I have this sort of opinion that in a way because their own youth was not like that because things were different back then and whatever. It's almost as though they're making up for that in a sense, and they're thinking things are different now. We can live
Yeah.
happier, and I think so. They were able to just put their all into that.
Yeah, my grandmother was very generous. So I agree that because she didn't have certain things as a child, she wanted to give that to the people that she loved. But she did have her side of her that was a little snarky. We would finish unwrapping presents and she'd be like, "That's it," even though we had just spent hours unwrapping presents.
There's
She was
some
great.
things about that
She was
back
my
those
favorite
times that
person.
don't change. Yeah, it's
No,
lovely.
she was great.
So before we go to the description of your show, have you got a message
Yeah.
for any listeners for Christmas, or any advice, or any messages at all?
I would say for anyone celebrating any holiday this season, if it's Christmas or anything else, just like my story, like try to find these wonderful memories and create the memories with people and not focus so much on the material things. Because just like in my example, like I don't remember anything that I got as a present, but I remember these moments so vividly I can picture them. So try to create these memories with your friends and family or your chosen family, whoever they may be. And Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, everybody. So, Matt, now it's
Mm-hmm.
time if you want to describe your show and let people know where they can get hold of you.
Sure. I host the Life Shift podcast, and my show, I like to have conversations with people about the pivotal moment in their life that changed everything. So that stems from my own experiences. My mother died when I was 8, and I always felt like I was the only person that had ever gone through that experience, and I felt very alone in that. And so as I grew up, I really was curious if other people had a very specific moment in their life that changed everything from one day to the next. So that's kind of how I focus my conversations. And if you're interested, you can check out www.thelifeshiftpodcast.com, and it will give you links to all the episodes there. But it's one of my most favorite things to hope that each episode finds the ears that needed to hear whatever the guest was sharing in their story, just so that they feel a little less alone.
Okay. Pods Like Us can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can contact us through podslikeus@gmail.com. Thanks for speaking with me today, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and thank you everybody for listening. Have a lovely Christmas. See you in the new year with season 7.